Okay guys, welcome back to another video, and is that switched on here? Yeah, you guys can see me, great. So yeah, I want to start this video by just inviting you guys to take in the atmosphere with me. So it's quite early in the morning today. It's still not crazy early. It's about 7:30 at the moment, and I've just been up for an hour or so. You know, I've stretched, I've had a shower, I've tidied some stuff up, you know, made some food, worked on a few side projects, you know, done a little bit of journaling, and it's really nice. And in about 20 minutes or so, I'm going to hop on a bus to Lewisham, where I'm working today, doing some selling in Lewisham, and yeah, it's really. But I just wanted to invite you guys. I don't know how well it's going to convey on camera, but just to invite you guys to just feel that kind of stillness, you know, in the day, early in the morning. You know, it's just such a good day to get stuff done. Such a good time of day to get stuff done. It's just there's nothing to disturb you, and you know you get into the bulk of the day, and you know life gets in the way and whatever, but. In this early part of the day, it's such an exciting time. You know, it really makes you feel that anything's possible. And so anyway, yeah, I just wanted to kind of mention that, because I think this video, the real thing about getting up early is having like a reason to do it, like being excited about doing it. And I think a lot of people just do it for the sake of it, you know, because it's like, oh, it's like self-improvement like things to do, but what you need is like a real fundamental excitement about why you're getting up early. And for me, it's just the fact that it's such a nice time of day, you know, and like I say, just everything feels possible when you get up this early. So I'm gonna run through my sort of current protocol for getting up early, what works for me, and just kind of my philosophy behind it. And it's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be fun. So I've talked about the first thing already, basically, very briefly, but just to flesh into it a little bit more. The main thing you need with getting up early, the main thing you need with anything really, is a why. You need a why. Why do you want to get up early? I think too many people with a lot of things, they just do it because they think they should. You know, like, and so many self-improvement things just boil down to this. It's like, you think you should do it, you know, like going to the gym. It's like, oh, I should go to the gym because it's healthy. It's like, you know, like, yeah, but you need your own sort of reason for it. You know, you can't just do it on a superficial level. You need to be really deeply like connected to why you're there, why you're going to the gym, you know. Same with your job, you know, you shouldn't just do a job because it's, you know, people respect it or whatever, you know. What matters more is it important to you? You know, do you want to get up early, just get up at all to do your job, you know? Do you have the motivation to do that? That's way more important than whether someone else is impressed with you for doing it or not. And it's exactly the same with getting up early. You need a why because it's not, I'm not gonna lie, guys. If you want to get up early, if you want to consistently do it, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really difficult. There is a lot of pain involved in the beginning. You know, it's horrible getting up early to an alarm when you haven't slept well. We're not used to that kind of sleep routine, and we're going to talk about some ways of how you can mitigate that pain. You know. And how you can do it as easily as possible. But before you do anything, you really need to connect to that why. Like, why are you watching this video on my channel in the first place? You know, clearly you have some interest in getting up at 5 a.m, but you might not really know why that is, you know. And what I would say is, for some people, this is stuff like, oh, I want to get up early so I can work on like a side hustle before work or something like that. Or they can go to the gym, you know, they have some reason to be getting up early. Or they like the time of day because it's, you know, there's no distractions. Excuse me for slurping, guys. So it can be anything like that. But what I would sort of recommend is, what works for me with 5 a.m. is not that it's like I'm doing anything particular at that time of day, although obviously I do have stuff that I like to do in the morning. It's not even that I'm sort of free of distractions as such. You know, I am, but similarly, you can stay really late into the night and be free of distractions as well. And what it is for me that really was a game changer, like what I really realised, is it's just like a nice time of day to wake up. It's just, it's so beautiful. And it's not, you know, not even like the sunrise. You know, it's because it's funny. I've just been inside all today, just like since I've woken up. But it's just that atmosphere. There's something beautiful about that atmosphere that goes beyond like how it looks. You know, 5 a.m. It's how it feels. You know, it's how it feels. There's something so beautiful about being up this early. Like I say, there's just anything feels possible when you wake up this early. And I don't know what it is. You know, maybe it's something to do with like our body's circadian rhythm or whatever. But you know, realizing that is essentially why I want to get up. It's not even that I'm motivated to do more work at that time. You know, there's not a practical reason. It's a nice time of day to wake up. You know, and again, like another thing to add to that is I feel healthier waking up at this time. You know, for so long I woke up and I always felt a bit groggy. You know, a bit tired. I wake up at like 6 a.m. now, and I feel fucking amazing, to be honest. You know, my body feels so much healthier. Like, it's so weird. Like, I just feel sort of cleansed of toxins, you know. And I don't know if that's really the case or not, but I just feel fresher, you know. Like, I was saying this to someone this week, I just feel like I've just been taken straight out of the packet, you know. Like, I haven't been sitting around in the fridge for a long while. I feel very replenished. Something about, again, I don't really know the science behind it, but something about getting up before the sunrise, something about getting up early, just does that to me. I don't know what it is. So it's connecting with that really, that why for you. And, you know, it's different for lots of people, you know, but really get that why, and like have some, you know, don't just go with the sort of ego, because it's very easy to get caught up in the ego with it. And to be like, oh, I want to get up early so I can grind and blah, 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 blah. You know, it might not be that, you know, and that might be the cooler thing to say. You know, it'd be much cooler if I was like, yeah, I get up at 5 a.m. so I can grind out my goals or whatever. But, you know, not to say that it's not good to do that as well, but, you know, essentially what it all boils down to, and we'll come back to essentialism a bit later, fundamentally all it comes down to is it's just a nice time of day, you know, and not even like because I want to work hard or because you know, practically I need to. There's just something so beautiful about it, waking up at this time. So find your why. That's the most important thing, and don't go with the why that other people tell you. You know, there's just really dig deep. You know, why are you so concerned waking up at 5 a.m? Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, which we talked about already, is you really want total essentialism with your waking up early. And you don't want to, because basically getting up early is a habit that you need to practice. And it's one of those habits that requires quite a lot of like willpower. You know, waking up early to an alarm full stop, but like to a sleep routine that you're not accustomed to, just requires so much mental energy. You know, it's so draining to wake up super early, you know, when you're not used to it. Your body hasn't learned to like, you know, whatever, get on that cycle. You know, for the first few days of doing it, for me, you know, like I just set an alarm for 6, and it's torture. It's absolute torture getting up, and it really drains you mentally. But the way I see it is it's a habit that I've got to train. And I'm prepared to sacrifice this habit in the short term, this like getting up early and feeling, you know, like feeling mentally drained. You know, I recognize that that's a habit that I'm going to adapt to over time. So effectively, I'll talk you through my morning routine at the moment because it is quite interesting. Because I think the mistake that a lot of people make with getting up early is they try to do too much at once. So they'll say, I'm going to get up early and do all this stuff. I'm going to have a cold shower. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to do some press ups, blah, 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 blah. Now, people might disagree with this, but for me, I think you're worrying about too much there. That's so many things that you're trying to do in your morning at one time. Just focus on the first thing, which is get up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., whatever it is. And that's pretty much what I do. I've told you obviously earlier in this video, I've done a lot of nice habits in the morning. But fundamentally, all I'm worried about is getting up early. That's the only habit that I care about. And I've had a little shower, I did some stretching, blah, 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 blah. But I wouldn't beat myself up if I didn't do it. Because I've realised I've boiled it down to essentialism. All I'm really worried about is just getting up at this time. And literally, just to tell you, I am quite indulgent to myself early in the mornings. And to be honest, I think I miss out on a lot of the advantages of getting up early because I recognise that I'm going to need to treat myself, I'm going to need to reward myself early on in order to make the most of it. So, what I do is I wake up early. First thing I do, I've got a yoga mat here. I just pop a few basic sitting poses, so I do a deep squat basically. And I just go on my phone for the first half an hour of the day or so. A horrible habit to do. Really ruins your focus. Sets you up badly for the day. I recognise this is a bad habit, but the conversation I've had with myself about this is, look, it's one or the other. Either you're going to get up early, or you're going to not go on your phone first thing. They're both good habits, and I'm not going to get rid of both of them at the same time. So I've got to pick one. And I've decided to plump for getting up at 6 a.m. And so I allow myself the bad habit of going on my phone first thing in the morning. Now, give it a couple more weeks, I'll get more used to getting up early. It won't require the same willpower anymore. It will just be automatic. I can see this already. Getting up is becoming easier day by day. And so give it another week. My plan is to eventually get rid of the phone habit as well. So I'm not going on my phone first thing as well. But I have to wait until 6 a.m., getting up at 6 a.m. becomes a habit first. And then I can add that on as well. Another thing is I drink coffee first thing in the morning, which again is a bit of a stupid habit. You're not meant to do it because it just gives you a caffeine crash later on in the day. I don't really know the science behind it, but every person I know who's into developing good habits and stuff, they always say don't have coffee first thing. Have some electrolytes, have some water. Wait you're meant to wait an hour before you have a cup of coffee. But again, I recognise that I'm not at that stage. Sorry guys, just shut this down. I recognise that I'm not at that stage in my habit, in building my habits to not drink coffee first thing. It's that's a nice part of my morning routine. Okay, it's a bad habit, but it's not serving me to drink coffee first thing. But I recognise that I'm going to it's kind of reward for getting up early as well. So, do you get where I'm coming from, guys? I really just boil down the habit of getting up early to its raw ingredients, which is just getting up early. I don't worry about anything else. And I think the reason why so few people manage to get into this habit of getting up early is because they try to add on all this extra stuff as well. And if they don't tick every single box, it's a failure. So if they'll get up early, but then they'll feel groggy and they don't make it to the gym, or they won't do some yoga, or they won't have a cold shower, and it's all this extra stuff. And they'll say to themselves, oh, well, I didn't do all this other stuff. So it's a failure. My morning routine's ruined. And it's well, no, you still got up early. You've got the first bit of the puzzle. Work on work on improving that, and then go on to the other stuff like the cold shower and the going to the gym or whatever. Because let's be real, guys. If you can if you get into the habit of getting up early, having a cold shower afterwards, or not going on your phone first thing, or or foregoing a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, that's light work once you've got the foundation set up. And I think the foundation is getting up early. So just boil it down to essentialism. Now the second thing that's just good to go on from that slightly related point is you want to sacrifice everything to get up early. You have to realize that is the most important task that you do, and this is what it boils down to. So obviously I said already, I sacrifice certain good habits that I'd do otherwise, like going on my phone, drinking coffee too early, blah blah blah. But another thing to think about, which is my third point, is don't worry too much about getting enough sleep early on in this process. And you might look at me and think, like, what do you mean? Like, isn't sleep really important? And it absolutely is. But the trouble I've had with getting up early is I've sort of bunched it in with getting enough sleep. I've seen them as two of the same thing. But the trouble is, again, it's the essentialism thing. Getting enough sleep and waking up early on in the game, that's two different things that you can do. So what I do is I've decided that for the next few weeks or so, while I'm doing this habit, I'm not going to get exactly 8 hours of sleep every night. Now, I'm not stupid. Like, because I do think like sleep is really important. You don't want to sacrifice it too much. I do think you don't want to be getting less than 6 hours of sleep, 100%. But if I get 7 hours of sleep instead of 8 hours of sleep, that's really good. And normally I'd be like, oh, that's not enough. I need 8 hours. But at the moment, I've just accepted, like, I'm gonna get 7 hours of sleep. That's all I'm gonna manage, and I'm not worried about that. So that's another thing. Let go of this kind of, maybe this is different for you, but for me, I have a real squeamishness about getting up, getting to bed to, like, not getting enough sleep, But the trouble I've had for so many years is, like, I'll get enough sleep, but then, I don't know, it doesn't even make much of a difference. So, yeah, like, I wouldn't say be stupid about it, like, still go to bed reasonably early, like as early as you can, preferably. But, like, for example, my job at the moment, I get back quite late, about 10 o'clock usually in the evening. So, if I want to get up at 6 a.m., it's very difficult, and normally I find myself going to bed around 11, just, there's stuff to sort out, I've got to have a shower, brush my teeth, whatever. So I'm missing out on like an hour of sleep, basically, that I should be getting. Plus there's like getting sleep in the first place, so I'm probably getting like 7 to 6 hours of sleep, again, not a crazy good amount, but I've just decided to myself that, like, no, it's so important to me to get up at 6 a.m. That I'm willing in the short term to sacrifice that little bit of sleep just to get on this routine. And I feel much better on it. And I know ideally that it'd be better if I had more sleep, but that's a detail that I can engineer later. So later on down the line, I can set up my life so that I'm getting back at a point where I can go to sleep I go to bed at about 10 or 9:30. Ideally I want to get up earlier, like kind of 5 o'clock. Okay, so that's the thing. Just realize that, like, short term, your sleep's going to take a bit of a dip, but long term, you're going to get better off sleep because you're going to have a more integrated circadian rhythm, all that kind of stuff. More integrated circ rhythm. Okay, final thing is realize that you're going to drop off. So this might sound quite funny to say, because we're talking about building a habit here. But I watched a video by Hamza recently talking about staying consistent in self-improvement, and he said something really interesting in this video, which was that self-improvement is like falling off. When you have a rut on self-improvement, everyone's experienced this, right? Where you have a rut on self-improve. where you have like you have a really good sort of week or so, a couple of weeks where you're really on a good habit. You know, you're sleeping well, you're going to the gym, you know, you're working hard, everything's going really well, and then you'll fall off. You'll suddenly have like a bad week, and you'll lose all your good habits. And it's really weird. It's like a really disconcerting experience because it's like, oh, what's going on here? But what I've found is this is part of what Hamza says, which really, I'd never thought about this before, but it's a really great way of looking at it. Is like that is part of getting the habit, is you falling off from the habit. As it's very, it doesn't make much sense, but I just look back at so many examples of it in my life where like I've had a habit for a bit and then I've fallen off and then I've gone back on it and then I've fallen off. So for example, I only really started going to the gym properly, like, you know, actually like making progress in it for like the last year or so, you know, like 2023, that's when I really started going. Actually 2022, I guess. So it's been like, yeah, a year and a bit. And like, you know, I'm not saying like I'm amazing at the gym, but I remember before that, like I still went to the gym. I still had times when I go to the gym. There were a couple of friends that, like we were really just, like in sixth form, we were all like, guys, should we all just get a membership to the gym? Like, and we're all just like skinny guys, like we knew nothing about fitness really, or like, you know, like we didn't really have any good goals with the gym or anything. But we were just like, guys, should we just go? And we'd had this routine where we'd go every like Wednesday, and it was very sort of like we were very bad, like I say, like we weren't really very good. We just did all the bunch of machines, and we were kind of those like newbie guys at the gym. But like I look back on it, and I think, you know, in a sense, you could just be like, oh, that was a complete waste of time that I did that. But reflecting on it, that built so much the foundations that I then go on to, like when I started going back to the gym. Now it's been like I really know what I'm doing because I've had all that previous context to apply to it, and I might not have built such a good habit with the gym if I hadn't had that previously. And it's the exact same with getting up early. You know, the first time I wanted to get up early was in university, like my last year. I was like, right, I want to do this. You know, I read the 5 a.m. Club. I was like, yeah, like let's try getting up early. And I think I did it for like a week. Like there was one night I was like, it was 2:00 in the morning, and I had this sudden burst of motivation to get up at 6 a.m. So I just set my alarm and got up, and I got on a really good sleep schedule for it for like a week. But then it dropped off, and I just went back to normal. You know, for whatever reason, you know, I just couldn't keep it up. And at the time, I kind of thought, oh, you know, it's just too hard, I can't do it. But looking back on it, it really paved the it's a similar thing, like it paved the runway for today, where I can get up at 6 a.m. and it's so much easier because I've had that runway to it. So I think one of the most important, like the thing is, you will find yourself, if you get onto a routine of getting up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. for like even a couple of, even for like a week or so, let's say for 5 days, you get on a routine for getting up early, and then you'll fall off for some reason, and you'll be like, oh, why isn't this working? You know what? This is just bullshit. It's not working. Don't stress about it. You know, it's normal to fall off on this habit, but just see it as part of the process. You know, I'm sort of prepared that at some point I might drop off on this habit again for whatever reason. You know, but I'm keeping it up for as long as I can. And if I fall off again, next time I try to go back to it, it will just be a doddle getting back on it. So, yeah, those are my tips, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and have a lovely day.